8 things you absolutely cannot forget when you go on your solo trip. Now, these tips are specifically going to be aimed at people who are hopping around hostels and backpackers, but it definitely applies to all other types of travel, just more so for those guys. Us, I should say, because I'm one of those people. And also, this video is just a reminder for me to go back and watch for myself, to remind me to not forget these things. So the first thing is kind of obvious, but there are some caveats. The number one thing on the list is earbuds, and not earplugs. For me, it's all about the buds. Make sure you get one that's decent size. Like, get something like this, not something like this. This was a huge mistake buying this. So I bring 2 types of earbuds on my trips. I bring wireless earbuds, and I bring a cheap set of wired earbuds. And these earbuds are specifically for sleeping with. Now, when it comes specifically to sleeping, I use these to drown out all the sounds in the hostels or in the Airbnbs across the street from the club or wherever you are. The reason that I use these to sleep instead of these is because you don't want to waste the batteries in these, for one, because they're gonna die in like an hour. You get infinite life, and the price does not matter. You just want to get something. You want to get something like this with a rubber seal on it. That way it's going to isolate all of the noise that you're going to hear outside of the earbud. Don't get the Apple style ones that just kind of float in the ear. You really want to get something that forms of like a seal in your ear, and I can hear myself talk now. You want to get something like that. So what you want to do, right? You want to go to YouTube. You want to type in nature sounds, wind, rain, storms, whatever floats your boat, ASMR. You're gonna wanna go to a site that allows you to convert that to an MP3 file, any YouTube video. A little trick is you can type in PP after the URL, and that'll get you directly to a website that will allow you to convert that video into an MP3. I recommend going on there and finding something that's 2 to 3 hours long. One thing that I do recommend doing is getting some practice before you head out for your trip. So try to fall asleep with these maybe a week, 2 weeks before you end up going on your trip. So that way you can get some practice in, see if this is a good idea for you. And I'd never travel without doing this strategy. So one thing that you guys are not going to want to forget is one of these universal charging adapters. And this one actually covers all your standard Euro charging sockets. It has UK, Europe, and the US. So all of the little adapters come out. You can actually pull them back in with this. But that's not even the best thing about this. The best thing about one of these is that you have multiple slots for charging. Like, you have a USB-C slot here, and then it gives you 3 USB-A type slots as well. This way you don't run out of plugs. You're always gonna have a port available to charge whatever you need. And to expand on that, this cable is USB to USB-C, but it's 3 USB-C cables attached to one. That way I don't have to carry around 3 separate cables, and this will plug right into the USB slot there. Wouldn't travel without it. So the next thing that I want to talk about is a quick dry towel. So I got this from Mech. These are going to be really useful because oftentimes you go to a hostel, they don't really have towels available. Sometimes you can rent them. I've been to one hostel in my entire life that has a towel for you on your bed.
Wow, they actually give you a towel.
That was the only time. I've been to hundreds of hostels. That was the first time that I had a towel waiting for me. Pretty impressive. And I'd recommend grabbing a large one. This one's extra large actually because they're quite small. But even though it's an extra large, it's very compact, as you can see. And I like to keep it in a little mesh case. And this way you can kind of like put this in the mesh case, and when you're gonna hobble your ass over to the shower, you can put like all your little things that you need in here, like shampoo, soap, whatever. So these take about 15 minutes to dry. If there's sunlight coming into the room and it's not super cold, it might take a bit longer than that. I have had cases where towel has not dried properly, but that was without sunlight. And usually in hostels, there's a place to hang your towels. Every bed has like a hook, unless you're in some really rough hostels, which I know they're out there. But yeah, I would not go on a trip without bringing a towel. A quick dry towel. Make sure you put that on your list. The next thing I want to talk about is something that you may not know exists. Experienced travelers obviously do. It is a money belt. That's right. It's not just for the geezers and old people out there. The obvious function of the money belt is to defend from pickpockets and and people who are trying to steal your stuff on the street when you're walking. And it does a great job at that. You know, if you're going to a more shady area, it does not hurt to have one of these. Actually, for me, the money belt is much more than that. The money belt is an excellent tool for organization and making sure that you don't lose all of your things. So you always put the same thing in the same pocket. I keep all of my credit cards, my passports, cash, obviously, in this thing at all times. I sleep with this on in the hostels. It does not leave my waist. I would at least hope that you're not gonna lose anything that's that permanent on your body at all times. So if you're one of those people who's just constantly losing your cards, losing your wallet, phone even, I highly recommend one of these. This is also a great option if you don't want to just carry around a super heavy pack. If you're just gonna go out to a cafe or on a walking tour or something, this will just be excellent to just put on and not have to carry something around, but still holding a decent amount of stuff. So the next thing that I'm gonna recommend on this list is travel-sized necessities. Toiletries, things like toothpaste, shampoo, deodorant. If you're backpacking around the world, the last thing that you want is a really heavy pack, which is why you want to downsize everything. Every gram of weight matters a lot, at least to me, because I never check my bags on airplanes. I travel with a duffel bag. It's actually called the Never Check duffel bag, and I've never had to check it once. And part of that reason is because I make sure that it's not too heavy by downsizing all my stuff like this. And you can get this at your local pharmacy, convenience stores, anything like that, and it's super convenient. This is your average size of deodorant that you would find, and this is the travel size. I mean, look at the difference. Look at the difference. And you know, if you do end up running out for whatever reason, I would just recommend buying it as you're traveling, so that way you're not keeping around a bunch of bulky stuff. So the next thing that I want to talk about on this list is clamshell packing cubes. These look a little something like this. So they open up, as the name suggests, like a clamshell. If you had no idea that these existed, I'm about to change your life. The purpose of the clamshell packing cubes is to free up a bunch of space in your pack, but also keep things super organized. They have the ability to kind of zip over and fit everything in here really nicely. It almost compresses and releases air when you put it in. So it's gonna pack your stuff like nothing else can pack it. So the caveat with these is you're gonna have to learn how to army roll your clothes in order to pack efficiently with the packing cubes. At least that's what I do. There is a bit of a learning curve to that, and it takes a bit more time, but once you learn how to do it, you'll never ever go back to just folding your clothes and putting them in a pack. And there's a ton of YouTube videos here that you can learn from on how to do that. I'm not gonna get into that here, but you can go ahead and search for that. So for me, I like to use each pouch for something different, right? Like I'll put my socks and boxers in one, all of my deodorants, toiletries in another. I'll put pants and shirts in another one. For example, like they come in all different sizes, right? So I have this big one. I'll put my clean stuff on one side and my dirty stuff on the other side for laundry. They're really good for that. So that's gonna double or triple your space possibly, depending on how much of a degenerate you've been in the past with your travel stuff. So the next one is for all the hostel people out there, travel locks. Something like this. It takes forever to focus, okay. Something like this. So when you're traveling around hostels, you don't want to be doing that without a lock. You always want to be locking up your stuff. You never know who's out there. I actually don't recommend this type of lock because this one uses a key system. I highly recommend against the key system. That's why this pack hasn't been opened yet. As you can see, it's still brand new. It's because I'm not going to use it. I recommend getting one with a combination style lock where you can just put in the numbers, whatever it is, and open it up, because the last thing that you want to do is lose that key and then have to fuss around figuring out how to get into your locked storage unit in your hostel, and that's just going to take up way too much time and be annoying. So just get a combination lock. It's that simple. But in hostels, they generally have all different size holes that fit different size locks. So I have run into the problem of my lock not fitting on a lock hole, and I had to really jam it in there. So I recommend maybe keeping two different sizes. Keep like a mini one like this, and then keep like a high school bigger combination lock on you. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about isn't really a thing to bring, but you're not going to want to forget this. This tip is to download Google Maps to your phone. So what I mean by that is Google Maps has the option of downloading specific maps from specific areas of the world right to your phone's hard drive so that you don't need internet in that area to use the map. It's magic. I don't know how they do it. So you can choose the specific location for where you're gonna go, and actually it's gonna give you the total size that's gonna take up on your phone. If you've ever been in a country and you open your phone and you get no service and you're trying to load the map, that's like one of the worst things ever. I've been there quite a few times, and so I'm not making that mistake again. Don't gamble on this one, because you never know what type of situation that you're gonna be in where you need a map that's offline. And that was the final thing, and I'm sure we could go on and on here with other stuff like wet wipes, an umbrella, sunscreen, you know, basic stuff like that. The ones that I mentioned have some, you know, interesting utilities surrounding them that you may not have known about. I hope you learned something. If you think I forgot anything, or you think that you have some other recommendations that you've forgotten in your travels, leave them in the comments. I'd love to hear about it. If you got any value out of this video, please throw me a like and a subscription, because I'm a new channel and I could use all the help that I could get. So thank you very much for doing that. You guys have a great time. Don't forget your stuff, and I'll see you next time. Later.